Yes?
Wow, I can see you've become a scholar nowadays.
Well, maybe not. But I have a question bothering me. Did Jesus Christ obey? And did Jesus teach his disciples or followers the way to obey the 10 commandments or something like that?
Well, how did you come with this question in the first place?
Well, yesterday in town, in a debate, a preacher claimed that Jesus did not fulfill the law of Moses. And therefore, he can't be the greatest prophet, leave alone being the savior of the world. And the preacher, by this pointing out, he said that God gave Moses the 10 commandments. I'm trying to find that out. But something bothering me, maybe in the book of Matthew 22, verse 37 to 39. So what did Jesus do with the other 8 plus commandments?
Well, that's a nice one, and a good one, of course. But I don't think whether I have an answer right now.
Oh, really?
I don't think so, but maybe we can ask the witness. He could be of some great help for us.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Let's try and find the witness. He can be of good help to us.
I think so.
Sure.
Thanks, friends, and welcome. The question is, did Jesus fulfill the law God gave to Prophet Moses, and did he obey it? And did he teach his followers, that is, the Christians, to obey it? I will start by quoting Jesus Christ's own words concerning the said law. From the Injil, or the Gospel, Jesus said in Matthew 5:17 through 20, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen, will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." So, from Jesus Christ's own words, he came not to abolish the law, or the law God gave to Moses, or the prophets, but to fulfill it and to teach his followers to fulfill or obey the same. But then, what or where is the proof that Jesus obeyed the law and told his followers to obey the law? To answer this question adequately, at least, let us first of all define the content of the law of Moses. And I'll put this law into 3 categories. The first category we will call the moral law. This is the part of the law that reveals or tells us who God is and what he requires of us as human beings. This law tells us that the holy God, the creator and the sustainer of all things, is the only one we should worship. The second category is the ceremonial law. This is the section of the law explaining how, as sinful people, we can approach the holy God in worship. Here God gave detailed instructions of sacrifices and how they were to be done for the forgiveness of people's sins. We also have in this category various rules concerning ceremonies meant to remind people of the goodness and the mercies of God. And then lastly, we have the civil category of the law. Civil in that it gave directions on Israel's daily living. In this we have details on how one related with their relatives, neighbors, and aliens. Love for the neighbor, justice, and various punishments for wrongdoers are key themes in this category. Did Jesus fulfill all the three categories of the law? The answer is a big yes. We read from Hebrews 4:15 that though tempted like all of us, Jesus was without sin. Not even his enemies could prove him guilty of any sin. In fact, Jesus fulfilled the law to the extent of even making it tougher. For example, while the law of Moses commanded, "You shall not commit adultery," Jesus taught, even looking at a woman lustfully is as sinful as committing adultery. And while the law of Moses taught, "You shall not murder," Jesus taught, hating your brother is as sinful as murdering. Jesus commanded his followers to obey the law to the letter as he did himself. So, how, according to Jesus, were his followers to obey the law of God? This question then takes us to the verse that prompted this discussion. In Matthew 22:37 through 39, Jesus taught, "You will fulfill the law of Moses and all other true prophets if you love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Is this then all the law reduced to just two? The answer is, on the contrary, this is all the law without any reduction whatsoever or abrogation. All the law how? If I love God the way Jesus put it, with all my heart, soul, and mind, I will worship him without reservation. I will give him first priority in my life, and will even use the blessings he has given me to worship and serve him. You see, Christians are to obey the law, not because we fear going to jail. We obey the law because we love God. It is that love of God that compels me to obey his commands. And likewise, if I love my neighbor as I love myself, there's no way I am going to rise up and steal or destroy my neighbor's property, or take their wife or husband, or covet what they have, or kill them. There are some of us, of course, who avoid breaking the law for fear of earthly repercussions. And this is okay, but Jesus is teaching us a more positive way of looking at the law and a better reason to obey the law. Jesus is saying, if we truly love God and our neighbor, keeping the law is no longer a burden. And rather than worrying about what we should do or should not do to keep the law, our consideration should be on what we should do to demonstrate our love for God and love for the neighbor. In conclusion, therefore, Jesus fulfilled the law God gave through Moses and the prophets to the letter, and wants his followers, the Christians, to obey the same way. But you see, you don't have to memorize the hundreds of laws and rules. All you need to keep the law is to truly love God and love your neighbor. But perhaps one will ask, are we as human beings able to obey the law perfectly to the letter as Jesus did? It is to this question we turn to in the next episode. Please do not miss out. My name is Gideon Mumo. Thanks for logging in.